Welcome to the West County ACA Speaker Series, recorded in St. Louis, Missouri. We meet every Thursday as a literature discussion, and the first week of the month is our ACA Speaker Meeting. Speakers are asked to share their story and one tool they find most useful in their ACA recovery. If you'd like to contact us, email westcounty@acastl.org. We hope you enjoy.
Hi, thanks for having me. So Chris asked me to speak tonight, and he's, said just tell your ACA story. So, and I recovered back in, came into AA in 1987, and I came to ACOA, came to Al-Anon in there somewhere. I don't know how long that's been, but I came to ACA in October of 2017. I wasn't quite sure of the day, but my dad's birthday is the October 9th, and he's a big contributor to my dysfunction. And so I just thought that would be a good day to have, So I have October 9th of 2017 is when I came in here. And Sue first took me to an ACA meeting. It was an all-women's meeting on Saturday morning, and they stopped me at the door, and Sue went in, and I went down to a meditation meeting that was going on down the hall. And so a few years later, someone came to our couples meeting and had a flyer about my Monday night meeting, which is an all-men's meeting, and we did not know that, so we were going to that meeting together, and the guys stopped her at the door, and I went in. And I heard things that night that just were very just kind of awakening my soul, and there was a lot said that I wanted to hear more, so I kept going back to that meeting. And prior to that, I went to therapy, maybe a few years before, and I had these tapes playing in my head, just beat myself up, and just old tapes. And I was talking to the counselor about that, and he was like, well, just stop playing those tapes. I'm like, well, how do you stop playing those tapes? He's like, you just stop, And it really kind of pissed me off more than anything. But coming to ACA and welcome Kim to your first meeting, I met Kim at my first Al-Anon meeting, and I met Sue at my first Al-Anon meeting. So that's funny, It's great. But I want to go back to where I was, but if anybody can help me.
Therapist pissed you off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was talking, my counselor, about the head. So I came in to the Big Red Book study, and I just heard things, that kept me coming back. And then I hooked up with these guys, and I'd heard about the Yellow Book, and I went through the Yellow Book with 4 guys at one time. It took us about a year to go through the Yellow Book. And then I ended up taking 2 other guys through. Me and one guy that was in the first group, we took 2 other guys through. And each time I went through the Yellow Book, things came up, You always have like these memories and things but you're not quite sure. But the Yellow Book kind of surfaces a lot of stuff, And I started allowing myself to have a voice, which I never had before. I was abused by a Girl Scout, not a Girl Scout, a Boy Scout, but she was a lady. She was our den mother in Boy Scouts. And some abuse happened there, and some abuse happened with babysitter, and my dad had did some things with me and my brother a long time ago. I was really young, but I was told if you have a memory, that it's probably it's probably right, So I just I own that. It's not my fault. So I didn't pick up any shame with that or anything, but But stuff like that, going through and working these steps. And the other thing was I always kept, like I had defects of character, but there were some defects of character that I just would not let go of in AA. And I found out that in this, they call them the survival traits. They were things that I lived, that helped me, just like alcohol helped me get through a period of my life. The survival traits helped me get through a whole lot in my life, And and the biggest thing I want to say, so all this going through the red book and the yellow books, and I joined up, I hooked up with 4 guys, and we went through the Loving Parent book, and we're still actually going through that book. Just all this awareness, and a lot of shame. My life was my past. So when I met you, I talked about who I was, because all that kind of, I lost a lot, but who I was, I just kind of hung on to that, I was a programmer, I was a drummer, I was, and now I'm neither one of those things. Today I play guitar. I still play drums, but I'm primarily a guitar player. But so I just, the awareness just led me to, because I had very low self-esteem. And so I started praying for love, compassion, and forgiveness. And I don't know where I heard that. I heard it somewhere in the big red book or the yellow book. They're pretty much the same. But I started praying for love, compassion, forgiveness. I was always kind of a negative person. I always kind of prided myself on being negative. I thought, well, the positive people in the world need a negative person. They need that charge, the opposite. And I believe that, And but going through this book, going through this program has helped me let go of a lot of my old beliefs, a lot of my old black and white thinking, So love, compassion, forgiveness, and my heart was. I've been hurt, a lot. I've lost relationships, female relationship. I've lost best buddy relationships, and that stuff starts happening to you with 32 years of sobriety. You start kind of taking on a lot of shame and a lot of stuff, and so coming into ACA and learning about that kind of that stuff has helped me, and a lot of it is just praying, a lot of it is sitting with my feelings, which that's the other thing. I never really felt. I was always numb, and I stayed numb for a long time. And I think my humor, I used to humor a lot. I could go into a room and just have the whole room laughing, and that doesn't happen that much anymore. I think it's because I came in here and started working on myself. And so I think a lot of that has helped me stay numb. And but this program has allowed me to doing the work. I've done left-handed writing. I wrote, I don't know how many songs, but they're all based pretty much on my recovery, my hope for something better, higher power, heaven, spiritual life that I hear about, after we die. It's kind of like the Rolling Stones and one of their songs, Wild Horses. He talks about, we can start living after we die, I don't know who he's talking to, if it's his daughter or his mother, but, a lot of that, just don't know if that's disassociation or just not living in reality, looking for something outside. I always had looked for something outside of myself to make me feel comfortable. And a lot of that was I put a lot of into my friends, and losing some of those, what I thought were lifelong friends, just allowed me to start looking at myself and start find the love that I could give myself, the respect I can give myself, the encouragement. I'm not. I don't get it from outside sources. I do get them from outside sources, but I don't hang on to those outside sources like I used to. It's got to come from within me, and this program's teaching me how to do that. I don't pick up shame as much as I used to. I can identify when I'm being shamed, and usually shame comes from people closest to you, and I don't think, and they don't mean to do it, but it just happens, and so I can dodge some of it today, but sometimes I'll still pick it up and waddle in shame for a while, but I don't hang on there as much as I used to. It's easier for me because I am doing prayers and I'm giving myself these affirmations and loving myself that I don't have to hang on to that, And the one thing, one of the biggest thing was the voices in my head, the old tapes that I was told just to stop doing that, has quieted way down. And I used to do projects around the house, and I would just beat the crap out of myself for not having something line up just right. And I never knew I was doing it, but Sue would point it out to me. Man, you are so hard on yourself. And I didn't really, before ACA, I probably would have said, you're not being hard on myself. I'm just trying to do a good job. But after being in ACA and her telling me how hard I am on myself, watching me do a project, I started taking notice, and I don't have to beat myself up anymore. As a matter of fact, I can be human, I never had kids, so I don't really know how to parent, but we had a granddaughter, Violet, who's 15 now, and, just the way I was with her, if she did something, I'm like, oh, Violet, that's okay, don't worry about it, and that's how I got to be with myself today, so my life it's quieted down, and it's because I do affirmations, I do meditations. There's one that Sue had given me, which was a timeline, and you can kind of go back, and it's hard, but I don't know how many times I've done it, but one time it really worked. And I came to that point in my life, and I was in 5th grade, and I had started playing guitar, and I came to this doorway, and that same doorway was when there's 2 of my buddies, they wanted me to smoke pot with them, and I said no, and I was real mad at them for even asking me to do that. But the next day, somebody else asked me, and I ended up smoking pot, and that was the start of my addiction part of my life. But it took me back to that place where I was in 5th grade, and it was just so real, So things like that happen, and it just helps me out. And I want to give you some really words of encouragement or bright, some lightning bolt type thing, but I really don't have that, I just know that I did a lot of work to get where I'm at today, and I still got to do a lot of work, and to just stay, healthier, and I guess one of the things I want to say is that I just got to keep on doing this stuff, and when I do, because it's a lot of times I feel great, but every once in a while, you're just walking through life, and all of a sudden something triggers. I used to always say resentments are like bubble gum, chewing gum. You can chew on a gum and it's got flavor. And then when it starts running out, you can stick it underneath the table there, and that chewing gum will stay there for years. If you pick that off 4 years later, and start chewing on it, that flavor starts to come back.
That's only from experience.
That's like a resentment, okay? A resentment can go away. You think you prayed on this, you let it go, you're done with that resentment, but something in your life triggers something from childhood or whatever, and all of a sudden, it's right back there, And I guess maybe I did experience that with the chewing gum. I don't know how I came up with that analogy, but that's my analogy of a resentment. It's like chewing gum. But this program has just helped me so much. And a lot of it too is grief and loss. It says in our daily meditation, you get stuck. You're stuck in grief and loss, And I was stuck there for a long time, and this program's helping me release that being stuck and moving past that. And when you ask me, it's not about who I was. Today it's about who I am. And I'm a man working a program, trying to better myself on a daily basis. And I don't pick up shame as much as I used to, but I still can, and I still do. But it's getting better. My mind is quieted down. I don't beat myself up. I'm more forgiving because I'm loving myself more today than I ever had. And then I'll just share an experience. My mom's 86 years old, so I've been doing a lot to help her in life. And today I'm over there. And we just got back from our trip, 15 days, and I left my mom, and she was fine. And I'm sitting there in her apartment with her, and she's talking about, her Bible study group. And everything about what she's saying is just so dysfunctional, so black and white thinking, and it's like I can just see that they talk about the laundry list that gets passed down to you, and I'm looking at all this laundry list, and I'm kind of getting a little upset with her. I'm getting aggravated, frustrated for sure, and I found myself I wanted to leave, because, but I love my mom. My mom's had a harder life than I have. She done a whole lot for me to have the life that I have today, and so I have to remember that. But when the dysfunction is so real right there, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is where I got it. This is how I was, This is how I can still be if I'm not working this program, And my mom's not going to change. And that's sad. It saddened me, and it made me angry today being with my mother, And the sad part is that she's not going to change, And she had 10 years of Al-Anon, but she stopped going. But anyway, so it's right there. And I grabbed all of that stuff she had to give me and a whole lot of stuff my dad gave me. And now I'm trying to just sort through it and be okay with who I am today, And my heart is a lot more open today. And I can sit and feel. When we were on our vacation, I actually, now I get choked, not really choked up, but just I get these feelings that just come up, and my eyes water, and I'm like, oh, I got a feeling, and that happens, and I thought that if I started feeling it would just never stop. I would just cry till the rest of my life, but now I get these little feelings of joy, happiness, sadness, and I'm able to allow that to happen, which I've never been able to do before ACA. And that's why I keep coming back. That's why I just keep coming back. And, I wanted to give you guys a whole bunch of good stuff, but that's all I got. I just got that I work this thing, and I work it on a daily basis. And I do try to do all the practices that they tell you. I don't do them religiously, but I do them, and they work. And, my mind's quieted down. I love myself more. I don't live in the past. I'm okay with the way things are. Those buddies that I lost, I now have 4 other guys I meet with on Thursday nights. I was really torn because I'm supposed to meet with those guys, and we got back, and I was asked to speak here, but so I never turned down an opportunity to give back, because hopefully it'll help me grow even more, So anyway, that's all I really have, If I think of something during, maybe I'll have a comment to say later on. But
thank you.
It's really all I have for now.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Keith.
Thanks for listening to our recording of the West County Speaker Series here in St. Louis, Missouri. For more information on meetings in the St. Louis area, visit www.acastl.org.